right, so today I've sort of decided to put up a video again on the New World Order, on the Antichrist kingdom, what that is, the role of China in all of this, and the 10 kings, which I haven't talked about before. And we're going to look at Israel and the United States and what's coming over the course of the next few months. So I've done some videos in the past on the New World Order, and I've talked about the difference between the New World Order, which is actually the harlot in Revelation, and the beast and the beast kingdom or the beast system. The beast hates the harlot, just so you know, okay? That means the beast or the Antichrist does not like the harlot. The harlot is the New World Order, which is actually an old world order. It's been around ever since the time of the Tower of Babel and Nimrod and people wanting to make a name for themselves and the first Masons, for heaven's sake. Okay, so the New World Order is actually the old world order that's been around for a very, very long time. And in the book of Revelation, this is the harlot, also known as Mystery Babylon. This is a system, okay, and a system needs to have a system operator, and it needs to have locations where they operate from. And the New World Order, or the harlot, operates from many places in the world, okay? Washington, D.C., the City of London, the Vatican, to name 3 places. There's also many more places that this entity operates from. The players are the United Nations, World Health Organization, the Masons, bankers, European Union, the World Economic Forum, Democrats and Republicans, universities, big food, big pharma, churches, and also Israel, who is also a part of this system, this New World Order system. And in particular, I'm talking about Zionism, because God has a plan for the New World Order part of Israel, and he has a plan for the remnant of Israel, those people that really belong to him from Israel. So in the book of Revelation, there's a couple of places that I believe makes reference to China. Is found in Revelation chapter 16, verse 12, where we read about the kings of the east and how during one of the bowl judgments, the Euphrates River will dry up so that the kings of the east can cross, okay? And they're on their way to meet the Lord at Armageddon to battle the Lord along with other nations who are going to be lured there. We also read about a 200 million man army who, along with 4 angels who are currently bound at the river Euphrates, kill a third of mankind with fire, smoke, and sulfur, actually conventional weapons. This is a human army that's being spiritually empowered or guided by 4 fallen entities to do away with a third of mankind. This is not a world war the way we think about it. This is actually the destruction of the harlot. This is going to be the destruction of the New World Order, okay, which is going to happen next year. The New World Order is sort of epitomized by this European symbol of a woman riding a beast. And in Revelation, the harlot is seen riding the scarlet beast. And that's found in Revelation chapter 17. What's really interesting to me is that they actually kind of identify themselves as being the woman who rides the scarlet beast, who rides what will later become the Antichrist, who is killed and then rises from the sea of death. One of the other things we learn about the New World Order, or the harlot, is that she is totally oblivious to the fact that her destruction is awaiting her, that the beast that she's riding does not like her. So we read about the harlot actually in Revelation 17. We'll start at verse 3. And he carried me away in the spirit into a wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of blasphemous names, and it had 7 heads and 10 horns. And right before that, the angel says that I'll show you the judgment of the great harlot who is seated upon many waters. That means that her influence is pervasive. It's over all the world. And it says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and with the wine of whose fornication the earth dwellers have become drunk. So the harlot has influenced all the nations of the world, whether they like it or not. Some nations have willingly gone along with the New World Order, in whatever form, whether it's banking or whatever, and other nations are influenced by her, but not necessarily because they're a part of her or want to become a part of her. Then Revelation 17:15, he said to me, the waters that you saw where the harlot is seated are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. And then 10 horns that you saw, they and the beast will hate the harlot, and they will make her desolate and naked and devour her flesh and burn her up with fire, for God has put it in their hearts to carry out his purpose by being of one mind and giving over their royal power to the beast until the words of God shall be fulfilled. The words of God with regard to the destruction of the harlot are found in Revelation chapter 9, where we read about the destruction of a third of mankind by fire, smoke, and sulfur. And this is the destruction of the New World Order and everything that is a part of the New World Order matrix. Verse 13, then the sixth angel blew his trumpet. I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar before God, saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. So the 4 angels were released, who'd been held ready for the hour, the day, the month, and the year, to kill a third of mankind. And then we go down to verse 17. They're going to kill them by fire, smoke, and sulfur. And this is exactly what we read in Revelation 18, where it talks about the whole destruction of the harlot. She's destroyed in 1 hour on a single day by fire, smoke, and sulfur. The 10 kings are given authority for 1 hour, and that's the 1 hour when the New World Order, the harlot, is going to be destroyed. And a third of mankind, anybody who's been implicated in the harlot New World Order system of any kind. Now, the New World Order presently does not realize that they are in terrible danger, that they are not going to inherit the earth along with the Antichrist or whoever they think they're going to get to rule. And Revelation 18 tells us that they are oblivious to the fact that they're going to be destroyed. So we'll look at chapter 18, the last half of verse 7. Since in her heart she says, I sit as a queen, I am no widow, mourning I will never see, so shall her plagues come in a single day. Pestilence, mourning, famine, and she will be burned with fire, for mighty is the Lord God who judges her. And then we read about how the kings of the earth and the mighty men and the merchants are all mourning because they see the destruction of the New World Order, the harlot, whatever you want to call it. Now, the New World Order is actually an old world order. Like I said, it's been around for a very long time. And the way that it operates is through deception, seduction, and sorcery. And we find that in Revelation 18, the last half of verse 23. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth. That is, they were the millionaires and the billionaires and the movers and shakers and the power people that belong to this system right here, okay? And all nations were deceived by thy sorcery. So they use a kind of a spell casting and sorcery to bring everybody into control of this system. That's what television and, education system, it's all part of the sorcery that we've been subjected to for all these years. God has a date that is set in stone. He knows the hour, the day, the month, and the year that the New World Order will be destroyed. And he knows who's going to do it, and he knows how it's going to happen. So there is no praying this away. There's actually a firm date set in God's appointment book when this is going to happen. And if we understand the book of Revelation and how to do the day counts and all of that, then we'll realize that it's going to be on April 3rd of 2021. So the 10 kings are going to be given authority for 1 hour. And we know this is not going to be 10 kings that are part of a revived Roman Empire that are part of Europe, because Europe is a part of the New World Order. Okay, so we're looking for 10 nations or kings that are going to be allies with China, who has the 200 million man army that's going to be in place, which it is now. China is all over the world right now. And so are the followers of Islam. Especially, there was a huge refugee outpouring, a migration from the Middle East that occurred a few years ago, and we have Muslim communities everywhere. I'm talking radical Muslim communities, not just your rank and file Muslim, but radical Muslim communities everywhere throughout the world. So when we look at the 10 toes in Daniel chapter 2 that are speaking about this alliance, really, that's between China and these 10 kings. Let's just take a look at that. Daniel chapter 2. And this is from the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had. And he's talking about this statue where Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian Empire, was the head of gold. And then we had the chest of silver. We had belly and thighs of bronze. And then we had the legs of iron, which was Rome. And then we get to the feet, which has 10 toes. And the feet are made of clay and iron. Okay, so one part is very strong, like the Roman Empire was, and another part is not as strong. It's rather brittle. It's not dependable. Let's kind of put it that way. And it says, and the feet you saw, in verse 41 of Daniel 2, and as you saw, the feet and toes, partly of potter's clay and partly of iron, shall be a composite kingdom. But some of the firmness of iron shall be in it, just as you saw iron mixed with the miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were partly iron and partly clay, so the kingdom will be partly strong and partly brittle. So when we're talking a kingdom here, we're mostly talking about an alliance between these groups of people. They have an alliance where they're forming an entity that is going to be working together. Because with the toes, you see they're all individual. The toes are individual. And of course, when we get to Revelation, we realize that they're actually 10 kings. So the kingdom will be partly strong and partly weak or brittle. And as you saw the iron mixed with the miry clay, they will mix together through the seed of men, but they will not hold together, just as iron does not mix with clay. And in the days of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom which will never be destroyed. Okay, so what we have here is iron and we have clay, and they are putting together an alliance. They don't actually mix, though. And this is something that's really interesting about both China and Islamic nations, that China is very proud of their ethnicity, their history, and they are not, and in a lot of ways, they're kind of the original racists. They think they're the best, and they have a lot of reasons that they think that. So they are not quick to blend in with other cultures. They want to keep their culture pure. Muslim nations, on the other hand, are not necessarily ethnically pure, because you can have the Turks and the Persians who are not Semitic, like the people in Saudi Arabia or the people of Iraq or Syria. The thing that holds them together, theoretically, is Islam. It's their religion. And their religion makes them exclusive as well. So the Chinese are exclusive ethnically, and the Muslims are exclusive with regard to their religion. You can only be Muslim. And by the way, I'm not speaking down on anybody, okay? There's a lot of Chinese people who are Christians. In fact, I think once we get to heaven, we'll find out that the majority of Christians are not white people from a European background. They're going to be Asian. They will be Chinese or from India. They're not going to be blonde-haired, blue-eyed white people like me, all right? So I think that's going to be one of those amazing moments when we actually get there. We'll see all our brothers and sisters who are Chinese. And we'll also meet a lot of them who were from the Arab or Islamic countries as well. But both of these groups, China and Muslims, do not mingle together, but they're willing to get together for a cause. And right now, China